Hello guys, week 3 is now complete and today I'm actually here with my social coach, Gart.
Hello.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
So we're going to come on to what you guys kind of teach and what I've learned kind of at the end of the video. But just as a little bit of background, I've done maybe around 10 sessions with you now, haven't I? Maybe
So
even
far,
a little
yeah.
more, yeah. And each one's been about an hour or 2 hours long. So I think it's fair to say that you've got to know me a little bit over that time.
Yeah, kind of, I got
And vice versa actually, I got to know you a little bit better in terms of the way you teach and your kind of viewpoints. So I actually thought to do a video today on obviously the challenge and kind of what you think and just on a few other things really. So I guess the very first thing I would say, and I kind of forgot to mention or didn't really go into too much detail about it, was obviously this challenge has mainly been in kind of like open spaces, so it's mainly been kind of like on the street, me doing these interactions on the street, like in parks, in coffee shops or wherever really. And I think it may still be seen as like a little bit unorthodox to some people. And what I really mentioned was I only really know a couple of people that do this, and I only actually know one woman that does this. And you can probably kind of guess where this is going. This is you. So I guess the very first question is, not many people do this, like at all, like no women. So what are your views on kind of like why you do this and that kind of thing?
Okay, I do think that as a woman it is obviously much more difficult to fight back towards the kind of education that we do have. As in, we are more used in being the shy one, the one that doesn't have to initiate any kind of conversation. So culturally speaking, we are more prone to be the one that they sit and wait. I am actually quite proactive, but it's mostly because I came across a period in my life in which I had to realize that I wanted a better social life, I wanted to be better in interaction, and also wanted to be in control of them. Basically, the most you initiate them, the more in control you are. So obviously, even if you're a woman, if you start and set the pace for the conversation, you are going to be much more in control of that. And I think that that was the main reason that got me to push myself to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the really big things I was saying about last week was I was kind of really scared to do this. So it was always in the back of my mind that like people might judge me and that kind of thing. As a woman, obviously doing this, do you feel that people might potentially judge you as a result, or do you not really care?
I don't care much, but I recognize that surely someone is gonna judge me. And even unconsciously, it happens that people, they might not be mean in the way in which they judge me, they might not think weird stuff, but they tend to get defensive towards a woman that is more talkative. They are shocked, kind of shocked. They tend to not expect this kind of reaction and this kind of initiative. So I guess that a lot of people, they might say that they judge me for this, or they might do it in an unconscious way. It doesn't really affect me that much. Possibly.
Yeah. I think I've literally had like maybe 1 or 2 women ever come up to me, like on the outside and start talking to me, and I was actually really surprised. Like I was just like, what's going on here? But I think it's a really good thing actually, and you know, we'll come on to this in a bit, but you know, I think potentially people could be more proactive, and if they can, then they should be really.
Hopefully.
So I think it's a good thing. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I guess the next question would be, do you think that more people should actually try and speak to each other in more public spaces? I mean, obviously the challenge I'm doing at the moment, I'm trying to avoid bars and clubs and that kind of thing. So, you know, as I'm doing this, would you maybe encourage this to more people?
Yeah,
once you see that you do? Yeah,
completely. Especially living in a city like this one, that can be quite lonely on the daily basis.
Yeah.
I reckon that a lot more people, they could have incredible benefit in pushing themselves to talk even just a little bit more with anyone around. I mean, if you consider like how silent we got to be, like when we go in any kind of shop place that we even like use on a daily basis, and we don't even know the name of the people that they work there. So in general, aside the approaching that obviously I highly encourage, what I think that would be much better society-wise would be to be a bit more open in general in your everyday life for anyone you have around. Obviously, context. I can't stress that enough. Context is important, of course.
Absolutely.
But still, it's not gonna take anything to spend a couple of words with someone that is in your same personal space. If you're traveling, if you're shopping, if you are on the street, there is nothing weird in communicate and in having a conversation with a stranger if you don't make it weird.
Yeah, I felt that actually the whole time I've been doing this challenge. As I was saying a little bit last week, I kind of, even though my friends said, "Oh, I'm really friendly" and that kind of thing, I always thought it might be a bit weird to kind of go up to someone. But no one said that at all, and I've not even felt that it's been weird at all. The whole conversation has been flowing really easily. Okay, so I guess the next question would be, as a woman, do you get guys that come up and actually approach you quite a bit? And if so, how do the interactions generally go in that way? And how could it be improved on, in fact?
I do, obviously, and I think that there is being kind of an evolution, fortunately, from catwalking and cat talking to women to properly approach them. And I do recognize this, especially in the frame in which we are now. I try to keep my expectation low. I try to don't have any preconcept towards the person who is approaching me, and that kind of give me the peace of mind of really having an open conversation and analyzing what they have to say and seeing what they want to get. Obviously, we came across to many pickup artists, and pickup is a kind of a large community from the 90s, so I guess a lot of them, they got a bit trapped in the idea of using lines. That sounds a bit empty and a bit sad, from my personal experience at least. So yeah, if I feel that the conversation is coming out naturally, even if it might be from someone shy, that might look a bit awkward in the body language, but not in a creepy way, I just enjoy to have the conversation.
That's good to hear, actually, And I guess the next question would be, if you are a woman actually in this situation, which goes to bars and kind of does always get like hit on by drunk guys or whatever, and you kind of do actually want to get out this cycle, as in maybe, I'd say, try and speak to people on the street, if possible, or in coffee shops, or at least make yourself more kind of approachable by normal people, essentially. What kind of tips would you give on that?
Well,
I still don't think a lot of people are open to that idea, but I think people should be technically,
Technically, they should be a bit more open about it. What I think is that, again, it comes to a situation of control. So we like to be approached more by someone that is not drunk and that is in completely control of his abilities. So that's the first thing to keep in mind. And as a woman, I would say we tend to be quite diffident on the street, but this is the heritage of such a old primordial instinct that it can be reasoned. I mean, you can realize that there is nothing threatening in someone coming up on the street and talking to you, obviously unless it's in a dark alley at 3 o'clock in the night, but I mean, it's much more dangerous in a club at that point than if you are walking down the street during the daytime in the central London.
Absolutely.
So what I suggest is to try to consider with a bit of a more open mind what's coming on to you.
Okay, so I guess the very last question is, you've obviously seen me do quite a lot of these interactions for several weeks when I started doing the challenge and that kind of thing. She actually threw me into quite a few, like, oh, talk to this woman, which is quite amusing actually. But I guess the question would be is, as an outsider, how would you see these interactions have been going? And like, you saw me obviously like day 1, and now I'm obviously like technically week 4.
Yeah.
So what would you kind of say these interactions look like?
Okay, first of all, obviously you see an evolution in your confidence. You see an evolution in how you feel more safe in doing it, because somehow seeing that the response is not always negative makes you more comfortable in doing it, and that makes it look more natural. So when in the first 1-2 situation you might have been a bit awkward, a bit unnatural. Now seeing from outside, it doesn't look different than any other interaction people are having around you. So it comes across completely natural, smooth. Obviously, remember, everything in social dynamic is always affected by your mood. That is something that you can't fight, you can just counter it. But with my experience with you, I never found that much of a fluctuation. You just kept going over and over, and even if the situation they got more difficult, because I have to admit I'm a bit of a mean person, so I kind of threw him under the bus of talking with groups of people, talking with people that they might have been busy, so obviously more difficult situation. With time and practice, your mind just make peace of itself and say, okay, there's nothing dangerous here, go and do it. And the conversation resulted to be really smooth.
Yeah, that's good to hear. It's quite interesting actually. In the last few days though, before that, even when I first started, I was quite nervous obviously, and like, I don't do this regularly and that kind of thing. But even within the last week, I think like 4 of the 7 girls that I spoke to had said like, I don't seem shy at all, which has like really surprised me. So I don't feel like massively more confident, but I have felt that the conversation's been a bit more smooth. It's like a little bit of progression on my part, which is nice. Yeah. So that's pretty interesting actually. And you know, I'm generally in a good mood anyway, but you know, like one of the times last week I was really tired and I didn't really like want to do like my interaction kind of thing. But it was quite interesting because in the past I wouldn't have done the interaction straight away. So I would have been like, oh, I'm in a bad mood or I'm tired, and I just like instantly would have been like, there, whatever. But obviously, for the purpose of telling like I have to do one. And you know, I kind of wanted to anyway. I was like, no, just like get it out of the way. Which is maybe I don't know how you can word that. But when I actually had the interaction, she actually responded really warmly, and the interaction went really well. So that kind of surprised me actually. Like I just thought she'd be like, you know, yeah, or whatever, and it went well. So even sometimes when you're in a not particularly good mood, you don't know what the other person and how the other person can react as well.
You have to avoid to have negative expectation, because let's face it, a good proportion of people are actually nice people. So when you are short in positive thinking and short in energy, there might be someone that can fill that gap for you if you just start and take that jump and start a conversation. So.
Yeah, it's good to hear. Cheers. Okay, that's all my questions done. So I guess you might have a few questions for me.
Yeah,
I don't know.
A couple of questions that I have for a lot of people, and in particular for you.
Let's go.
First of them, it would be, when precisely did you decide that you had to improve your social life, and so what was the trigger that made you choose this particular challenge?
Yeah. So I guess it was obviously when I started these challenges, it was on my list of things to do. It was kind of before that really. So even coming up to 30, I kind of thought like, I'm not like hitting a landmark age in terms of I must have something, but I kind of thought like I should be progressing more. You know, it's kind of what I talked about last week in terms of I think I've missed a lot of opportunities and not really been pushing myself and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I was really determined to do this challenge, and I think one of the things which I didn't really mention last week was I was kind of happy to fail, which might sound a bit weird. I would much rather try and like potentially fail than not try at all, because as I've missed so many chances and that kind of thing. I didn't really mind as long as I went in like really positive and kind of like went about it the right way in terms of like how I spoke to people. I didn't really mind too much, and obviously, as I said, I've been really surprised by everyone's reactions, kind of thing, in terms of they've all been like really positive. But I would just much rather try and you know, put myself out there than kind of holding myself back and being like, oh, I wonder what if kind of thing, and just actually find out the proper way, basically. So.
Fair enough.
It's about time to do this, yeah.
So yeah, I guess the second question would it be, what is the detail that makes it more difficult for you, that really puts you off your game in starting or keeping a conversation going?
I think for me it's mainly about breaking the ice in the first place.
Okay.
So initially going up and saying hello and well, whatever it is, it's been like circumstantial really. But yeah, just literally going up and just starting the conversation, because you don't, at least for me, I don't always know how people are going to respond. And what it has been positive, it's still like, what if they, you know,
They don't
want to talk to me or something like that. So it's very much been like just starting the conversation. And in terms of progressing it as well, even when I do like start talking to them, sometimes there's still like a little bit of like hesitation in terms of like when you come up to someone, they're like, cool, they're talking to me, but like, do they want something or something like that?
Okay.
And obviously at this point I tell them that I'm doing this challenge and everything goes along with it. And after I tell them, like every single person reacted really warmly actually. It's like they can kind of like relate to what I'm coming to.
Okay, yeah.
It feels to me. So once I do that, it feels like it's a lot more smooth, but it's just that initial like opener and, you know, I guess like progressing onto like what I'm talking to them, basically. Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay. And I guess that the last question that I have for you, it's more like my personal interest, that it would be, how did you find like my help, my support? How is it to have this kind of suggestion from a woman as well?
Yeah.
Because that's quite like uncommon. It's not that usual. So how is it?
Really good, basically, is the simple answer to that. Obviously, when I started doing the coaching with you, I was like doing my little sessions in terms of my 30-day challenges. But I was talking about this very early on, if you remember, because I was like really nervous about doing it and then like putting it out to my social media really. So, you know, I said I didn't really speak to many people, but I spoke to a couple of guys about it and they gave me some advice, and really good advice. But it was actually good to get a woman's perspective on the whole thing, because I thought like some people may not react the way which I was intending, and I can completely see why, because, you know, literally me putting up, oh, I'm going to speak to people on the street, they might think like, what the hell are you doing? So it was actually really good to get like your perspective in terms of, because I remember like straight away I asked you like, do you guys come up to it? And you're like, yeah, and like how did they do it, and you know, that kind of thing. So I guess it was, for me, just in terms of like the best way to do it kind of thing, or like just like the best way to do it basically, and how like to progress and what you may think as a result kind of thing.
Okay, so good job.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. Okay, so I think that's pretty much all the questions. I guess we'll end on obviously what you guys can kind of do for other people. So for me personally, you guys have actually helped a lot. I think like the 3 biggest points for me has been improvement on kind of like eye contact.
Okay.
So if you remember when I first started, I didn't even eye contact with a lot of people.
Flaky.
Yeah. And it sounds like a small thing, but it actually makes a massive difference when you're eye contact with people, and it just creates more like human connection for me.
It does.
So that would be one thing. Obviously, I was a little bit anxious about doing the whole thing as well. So a lot actually. And yeah, so you guys have to do a lot with that. So that's something I'm really happy about. I guess the third thing would be like conversations as well. So maybe my conversation was a bit flat to start off with, and it was like all like general, like how was the weather and all this kind of thing. It was all like a bit boring.
Okay.
And you can still do that, but it's more being like how to switch up conversations and how to like move from one topic to another, which was quite natural and that kind of thing. So I guess that is the main three things for me. I guess now maybe tell anyone else which is watching a bit more about what you guys can offer people, that kind of thing.
Sure.
It's not only obviously about dating as well, and about watching that kind of thing. So yeah, I guess like say a little bit about it, that kind of thing.
Well, basically what we do is try to coach every social aspect of life of someone. That can mean, in this case, approaching a stranger. It could mean dating skills. It could be professional related. A lot of people, they have anxiety about interviews, exposure of planning. They have a very hard time in team working. This is all part of what we can work on. We are gonna have a new workshop in a very short while about body language. That is a subject that I particularly love, and I think it goes through every aspect of our life, so it can be used in any of them: dating, friendship, work related obviously. What we do is we try to sort out what is the major issue with someone that might have problem in any aspect, and beginning with that, trying to improve in a larger spectrum. Because when we do exercises, we do use a lot of exercises in terms of psychological exercises and logopedic exercises. These kind of thing, they help you to practice on a very wider level. So they train your brain in work in a different way, and then you apply this knowledge to different contexts. What we do is basically we try to be your safe net. We try to make you do things and be there to correct you and be there to encourage you in doing it. It's not that different from a personal trainer. I mean, everyone knows how to speak, but we don't do it all the same level if we don't have an encourage. And personally, I don't reach even 10 squats without my personal trainer. Then I guess that it's kind of a payback.
Yeah.
So yeah, what we do is we try to get people in a long-term, long is obviously proportionated to the issue, but in a therapy-like kind of course that is weekly, in a way in which the person can have the time to metabolize and work on itself even aside the training. That's so far what we do. Okay, I have to say I really appreciated the challenge. It was really interesting to work on someone that was actually challenging himself so much in such a short window of time. So it was incredibly funny even for me. And thank you so much for the interview. I hope that this is gonna push more people towards this kind of activity.
Absolutely.
And yeah, keep following it because it's kind of funny. And if you want to have any other kind of information about the coaching instead, you can find us on social shortcuts, YouTube channel, website, Facebook page, or Ask to Jeff.
Absolutely. So I'm going to put their link below, socialshortcut.com I think it is, isn't it? I'm going to put the link below, so have a check of their stuff. It's really, really good. I think you have like a free trial session as well, don't you? With the coach.
We
Ryan.
do have
So
free trial session possibility.
Yeah.
What we do is basically 1 hour of your free trial session to assess what we can do together in a possible course.
And the class is actually pretty reasonable as well, so they may go up in time, but right now they're actually really good, so yeah, check them out. I think that concludes it actually. In fact, I've actually got a bonus question.
Okay, bonus question.
So I've been asking everyone this week, you probably know what it's going to be. If you had to do a 30-day challenge, what would you do and why?
Okay, if I had to do a 30-day challenge, this sounds kind of boring, but
Go for it.
the first one that I can think about is health related, is 30 days without smoking, because as he knows, I'm actually smoking quite a lot. And another thing that it would be interesting for me to do, because I always had massive problem in doing it, is about meditation. I tried in the past to do meditation, but unfortunately didn't come out as I wished. And probably I will try to challenge myself again with this. Yeah.
That's good.
Maybe I'll try, I don't know. I'll
find out.
update you.
We'll see. Excellent. Well, thanks for being on again.
Thank you.
And I'll catch you guys next week. Last week. It's been good. Thanks, guys.